These are the most disturbing wild photos that are yet to be shown to the world. Children for sale. In 1948, the world was still healing from the wounds of war. Many families struggled to make ends meet, and some faced unimaginable hardships. This is the Chalafox family, and for them, things were even worse. They were about to lose their home, and they had no way to make ends meet. In a moment of desperation, they made a heartbreaking decision. This photo shows the Chalafox children, Lana, Ray, Milton, and Sue Ellen. They weren't posing for a family photograph. They were being sold. Each child was sent to a different family, hoping for a better life. But instead of finding love and security, they faced more hardship, abuse, and neglect. John Heath lynching. This photo takes us back to Tombstone, Arizona in 1884. The man hanging from the telegraph pole is John Heath. He was accused of being involved in a robbery that turned into a bloody massacre, leaving several innocent people dead. In the American West of the 1800s, law and order were often fragile. Justice could be swift and brutal, and lynchings were a disturbingly common way for communities to deal with those accused of crimes. Heath's case was particularly controversial. Some believed he was guilty, while others maintained his innocence. Regardless of the truth, his fate was sealed by an angry mob. Fueled by rage and a desire for revenge, the mob dragged Heath from his jail cell and hanged him from a telegraph pole on Tough Nut Street. Death photography. In the Victorian era, death was a frequent visitor, especially in the nursery. Diseases like measles, diphtheria, scarlet fever, and rubella often claimed the lives of young children. During this time, photography was a relatively new invention, and capturing a loved one's image was a special occasion. For many families, a death portrait became the only opportunity to preserve the likeness of a child lost too soon. These photographs, often showing grieving parents or siblings posed with the deceased, may seem unsettling to modern eyes, but in the Victorian era, they were a way to memorialize the departed and cope with grief. As medical advances improved child mortality rates and the availability of snapshots increased, the practice of death portraiture gradually faded away. However, these haunting images remain, offering a glimpse into a time when death was a more familiar part of life, and photography served as a bridge between the living and the lost. An abducted child. In the late 1800s, the American frontier was a place of conflict and cultural clashes. This shows a young boy named Jimmy McKinn, who was taken from his family by Apache warriors during a raid. In those tumultuous times, child abductions were not uncommon. Native American tribes sometimes adopted these children into their communities, while others were held for ransom. Jimmy's story, however, took an unexpected turn. After spending time with the Apache, he became so accustomed to their way of life that he resisted returning to his family. This image captures the complex emotions of a boy caught between two worlds, torn between his past and his present. Outlaw Rube Barrows. In 1890, the Wild West was still a dangerous place, where outlaws and lawmen clashed in a constant battle for control. But some threats were more insidious than bullets. This photo shows Rube Burroughs, a notorious train robber, lying in repose. His face is gaunt, his eyes sunken, bearing the marks of a disease that ravaged the West, tuberculosis. The weapons that once made him feared, a Marlin rifle, a Remington, and a Colt revolver, now lie useless beside him. This image serves as a stark reminder that even the most hardened outlaws were not immune to the dangers of illness and disease. Creepy tattoo. And while disease was a constant threat in the Wild West, danger lurked around every corner, even for innocent settlers. This is Olive Oakman, a young woman who was kidnapped by a Native American tribe and sold to the Mojave. She lived with them for 5 years, during which time her face was tattooed with a distinctive blue pigment, a mark of her assimilation into the tribe. This photo, taken after her return to white society, shows the cultural clashes and violence that defined the frontier. But while Olive's story is one of survival and resilience, not all encounters in the Wild West ended so positively. Sometimes the past is a mystery, like the story behind this next photo, a chilling reminder of the Wild West brutal justice. Wild West girl wearing bonnet and mask. The bonnet and mask she's wearing might look something out of a dystopian novel, but they served a practical purpose, protecting her skin from the harsh sun of the frontier. In an era before sunscreen, this bonnet and mask served a practical purpose, protecting delicate skin from the harsh sun of the frontier. It's a glimpse into the everyday ingenuity of women who carved out lives in a challenging environment. Gould and Curry and the Savage. Gould and Curry and the Savage. This one takes us deep into the belly of the Wild West, 900 feet underground, in the heart of a Virginia City silver mine. This miner, a lone figure in the darkness, is burning magnesium wire for light. This isn't the high-tech mining of today. This is back-breaking labor in the pursuit of silver and fortune, a gamble that built a city of 25,000 and left it a ghost town. This is the story of the Wild West, where risk and reward were two sides of the same coin. When you thought you had already seen the worst, just take a look at this picture of the Rufus Buck Gang. Rufus Buck Gang. It might seem these guys are some rough and tumble cowboys, but their story is far more sinister. This multiracial gang terrorized the Arkansas-Oklahoma area in the late 1890s, leaving a trail of robberies and murders in their wake. Their spree came to an end in Muskogee, Oklahoma, where they were captured and ultimately sentenced to death for their crimes, including the murder of a U.S. Marshal. This photo is a chilling snapshot of a time when lawlessness reigned, and justice was often swift and final. That's not the worst thing that ever happened on this show. Billy the Kid. Now we'll see one of the most notorious kids of the Old West outlaw, Billy the Kid. This kid had been making headlines since he was a teenager, wanted for theft and murder. This is the only known photo of him, a tintype that captures a young man with a boyish grin. Don't let that fool you, though. This young outlaw was a cold-blooded killer, rumored to have killed 21 men, one for each year of his life. Billy the Kid's life was short but violent, a whirlwind of gunfights, escape, and ultimately his death at the hands of Sheriff Pat Garrett. Well, at least Billy didn't live long enough to kill some more people. But this next photo shows a man who dedicated his life to bringing outlaws like Billy to justice. Bass Reeves. At around the same time that Billy the Kid was terrorizing the West, a different kind of legend was being forged. This is Bass Reeves, a man who rose from slavery to become the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. Reeves was a master of disguise, a crack shot, and a relentless pursuer of justice. He brought in over 3,000 dangerous criminals, proving that heroism wasn't limited by race or background. Where Bass Reeves had been hunting criminals, the other photo shows the very first hunt of the grizzly bear, bear hunting. You see, the bear in this photo is not just a hunting trophy. It's a symbol of a changing era in the Wild West. Taken in 1874 during a Black Hills expedition, this image captures the aftermath of a hunt led by General Custer and Colonel Ludlow. As settlers encroached on wildlands, these majestic creatures were deemed a threat to livestock and a nuisance to progress. Yet the horror of the past didn't just involve animals. Some man-made disasters were even more cruel, like this horrifying scene. Bison skulls. It's a mountain of bison skulls, thousands upon thousands of them, a chilling testament to the near extinction of these majestic creatures. This isn't a natural phenomenon, but a consequence of human greed and the relentless pursuit of profit. In the 19th century, bison herds were decimated, their bones harvested to make fertilizer. This image is a stark reminder of the devastating impact humans can have on the natural world. Death was a constant companion, and sometimes it was even captured on film. Look at this unsettling image of a family gathered around a deceased child, posed as if sleeping. Deceased outlaw William Brazen Bill Brazelton wearing a mask, 1878. This post-mortem photo, taken in 1878, captures him with and without his signature mask, a stagecoach robber who terrorized Arizona and New Mexico. Brazelton's life was a whirlwind of crime and daring escapes, but it all came to an end when he was gunned down by lawmen. This eerie image, with its morbid fascination, serves as a chilling reminder of the Wild West violent underbelly. But while outlaws like Brazelton met their end in gunfights, others faced a far more insidious threat that we'll be showing in the next video.